This is completely unacceptable from Sydney Coulson. So, if you guys don't know, this is Sydney Coulson on Threads. Sid Coulson is a former teammate of Sophie Cunningham and a former teammate of Caitlin Clark and a former teammate of the Indiana Fever. She is comedian, and she has gone basically off the rails. Not off the rails, sorry. She has joined the sisterhood again. And by saying join the sisterhood, that's a bad thing. So basically, she was on a podcast a few days ago and essentially said, well, you know, we as a league, we used to stand for things, and now that people are making more money, they stop, you know, speaking out. And it's like, well, yeah. Because let's be very clear, you have stuff to lose now. And as a league, I think everyone now involved in the league understands it is extremely difficult. It's not 2020 anymore. It's really not 2020 anymore. Where the vast majority of people as a whole we're on one side. And that was the way things were going. Sid Coulson saying this, and I know it's a joke. Love a trans fell. This is essentially celebrating a player getting clobbered. You are on TV. You are. Not these other people online. You are. You were on TV basically saying Caitlin Clark was soft for taking a fist to the neck from Alyssa Thomas. You are. You got opportunities because of this organization. You got opportunities because of the Caitlin Clark brought on your head. You did. You benefited from it. You joined the Indiana Fever for those benefits. You took those benefits. You became more notorious. And as soon as you leave, you rejoin the sisterhood. Then it's against Caitlin Clark. And you are celebrating a player getting taken out. You are in a much more fucking fragile position in what you say, because you are on TV reporting on games. You have been directly called out by Caitlin Clark for refusing to care about the sport of basketball, for not talking about basketball, and a week after Alyssa Thomas got Caitlin Clark, continuing to talk about it. You are. And there's a big difference. There's a big difference between talking about this topic, random people on Twitter going at it, random people aggregating, and people who have shared a locker room with Caitlin Clark, who have shared a locker room with these people, who have directly benefited from being a part of the Indiana Fever organization, who have directly benefited from being a part of this. And someone who is on TV and who has not already essentially villainized Caitlin Clark for, I'm going to be real, getting assaulted. You villainized Caitlin Clark. You villainized a former teammate for getting assaulted, and got called out directly by that player, and now you're doing this. This is unacceptable. And whatever TV network brings Sid Coulson on, again, freedom of speech is not freedom of consequences. Let's be very clear. It's going to happen. The next time you appear on TV, this is getting spammed to the network you're on. But again, I was about to say, she might have cost herself a lot of money from a tweet like this. But at the same time, she's complaining that the players making money now aren't speaking out about things. And what? What you mean speaking out about things? The whole trans players. I'm being very fucking honest here. We've heard it in tennis. Every single player at the top in tennis has agreed with what they've done. The population of people that are most likely to actually be against trans women competing in women's sports are female athletes. Yes, there are grifters who don't give a shit about female sports. Your Clay Travises of the world who just want to dunk on the WNBA, who will be talking about putting Enes Kanter in the league. But at the same time, I don't like the general population is 80% against it. And I think you bump that up to 90% when you go up to female athletes. So yes, so Sid Coulson basically being like, oh, you know, players don't speak out about issues anymore. The current issue is the trans issue, which I can guarantee you there's a reason why the vast majority of players in this league are not going after Sophie Cunningham. Because the vast majority of players in the WNBA probably agree with her. The vast majority of players in the WNBA probably agree with her. Statistically, the odds of what I'm saying being correct is very high. There is a reason why Sophie Cunningham's teammates and players on other teams liked the post where captioned, "I said what I said." Not because they wanted to co-sign the what Sophie Cunningham said, but more so than anything, because they didn't care about the caption. They just saw the pictures and liked it. And they weren't out there calling out Sophie Cunningham. Because you can, if you're Cheryl Reeve, you can do it because you're not having to compete against people in that situation. Like I'm sorry, like Julie Tatar would be a WNBA player. I've watched clips of her playing. I get it. She's playing at a low level in France. She's playing second tier in France. Pre-transition was worse at basketball than me. I'm not very good at the sport of basketball. In the grand scheme of things, sure, but like at my peak, I would have been a D3 guy. I wanted to go to prep school for a year. That kind of fell through. Fell through because fucking so expensive. But I would have been a D3 guy after that year. And that was my peak. Like pre-transition, Julie Tatar played at a worse level than me. I've watched full games with Julie Tatar. Even at the low level, she is so physically dominant that she would be the strongest player. She would walk into WNBA as the strongest player. And Sid Coulson is there posting this. And I think it's embarrassing because this is inciting violence. It just is. And I get it, it's a joke. I get it. Sid Coulson's trying to be funny here. I get all of that. I get it. Sid Coulson, but that is what she's joking about. She is. It's like when Tip Hayes laughing emoji, that's real to the person who threatened Caitlin Clark. You can't do this when you are on TV. I'm sorry, like, you just can't. You can't. You cannot publicly joke about a player getting, for lack of a better word, targeted and clotheslined to the ground by a player. And while you are in the media. Okay, pipe down pipsqueak. Pipsqueak! I'm a 5-time national shot put medalist as a kid, might I add. I was a 5-time national shot put medalist as a kid. Of all things to say, that's not the one insult. In high school, I was like a 55-foot thrower. That's the one thing you can't say about me. But yeah, it's just one of those things now where I'm like, there's things you can't say when you're a player in the league. There's things you can't say when you're a pundit. There's things you can't say when you're a former teammate of these players. And I still, as far as I'm aware, technically I don't think she's even retired. Telling people what she can and can't say. Obviously, sorry, she can say whatever she wants. But like, she's probably gonna lose her job because of it. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, she's incited violence. She joked about violence against another player, so probably losing her job.